Welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of college basketball, down to the final two regular season Boiler Ball recaps. And this one was a classic Big Ten slugfest between the top of the conference rankings with the title on the line, with Purdue traveling to take on Illinois. But without further ado, let's run it. This one ended with a final score of Purdue 77, Illinois 71, a top 12 matchup in Champaign with a Big Ten title share on the line. That's a recipe for a dogfight, and that's exactly what we got. Purdue may have clinched a share of the Big Ten title last game with their win over Michigan State, but a win tonight clinched the Big Ten title outright for the second straight year, the first time that's happened since 2007 with the Ohio State Buckeyes led by Greg Oden, which is a name that, a lot of people haven't heard in quite a while. But this one started off with a bang with the Fighting Illini and the Orange Crush behind them, determined to defend the State Farm Center, jumping on the Boilers early with shot-making, intensity, and aggressiveness that really startled Purdue to start off. It really looked like Illinois wanted this one more early on, but Purdue would cool down and settle into their bread and butter. And this one, that was Zach Edey, because Illinois spent most of the first half in single coverage against Edey, and he ate, putting up 18 first half points when Purdue's guards just couldn't really find their shots. For Illinois, Terrence Shannon Jr. struggled to get going after picking up his second foul early with over 11 minutes left to play. But Quincy Guerrier looked to pick up right where he left off against Purdue with 18 points in their last matchup. He hit 3 first-half threes in crucial moments to help keep Purdue at bay. Purdue was able to cut the halftime deficit to 6, but this one was looking rough for the Boilers at the end of the first despite Edey's dominance. The second half was a complete script flip for Purdue's offense. They opened up the second half with back-to-back threes from Braden Smith and Fletcher Loyer that would be just the beginning of the three-point barrage by the Boilers. While Illinois' offense would cool down in the second half, Purdue's heated up. Edey only went for 10 points in the second half, but that was mainly because of the shift in the way that Illinois was defending. They doubled Edey, dug hard on the catch and his first dribble, and that left Edey with some opportunities to kick out to open shooters when Illinois missed their rotations. Purdue took advantage of many of those opportunities, shooting 8 for 10 from beyond the arc in the second half after going just 1 for 6 in the first half. Marcus Damask seemingly single-handedly kept the Illini in it down the stretch, scoring 12 of his 20 points in the last 8 minutes of the game. But he just didn't have enough help as Purdue rained in threes and made tough buckets behind some clutch plays from Braden Smith and Fletcher Loyer. Everything culminated in an ice-cold Braden Smith dagger from the top of the key with 19 seconds left. Shot clock winding down, Purdue up 3. Braden had no choice but to just size up his defender and drill it in his face. That put the nail in the coffin and put Purdue up by 6 for good. Heading to some of the top performers in this one, obviously at the top, you've got Zach Edey once again with 28 points. With him having 18 in the first half, 28 seems pretty mild, but that was on 13 of 23 shooting, only 2 for 4 from the free throw line. So Illinois did keep a pretty good job of keeping him off the free throw line, getting 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks as well. Secondly, again, with a second straight game of really showing that he's back on track, Fletcher Loyer. Great to see once again. He ends up with 16 points on 6 of 12 shooting, 2 for 3 from 3, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, and 3 rebounds as well as 5 assists. For Illinois, obviously led by Marcus Damask. I would say not actually obviously, but in this one, if you watched it, there was no denying that this was Marcus Damask's game. He ended up with 20 points on 8 of 16 shooting, so not perfect, but also a very solid game. He did end up going 0 for 2 from 3, but he went 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, but he did have 4 turnovers. And right behind him, you've got Coleman Hawkins. Obviously, their big all-around guy with his athleticism and scoring abilities. He had 13 points in this one on 5 of 10 shooting, 0 for 1 from 3, but did knock down all 3 of his free throw attempts, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, and 3 steals. When it comes to honorable mentions, you've got Braden Smith for Purdue, another really solid all-around game for him, 13 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 3 for 4 from 3, which is ended up being great down the stretch in the second half, including that dagger. 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. He did have 3 turnovers, however. For Illinois, I did mention his name earlier. Quincy Guerrier was very, very clutch in a lot of the first half there, at least, with 12 points on 3 of 5 shooting, 3 for 4 from 3. He did go 3 for 6 from the free throw line, but that's really not his strong suit. 2 rebounds and 1 steal. Heading into some of the key team points for Purdue, it really was second half adjustments. Purdue struggled for a lot of the first half outside of Zach Edey. He had 18 of their 34, and nobody else had more than 4 points individually. They just had 4, 4, 4, and 4 to make up their other 16. And shots from the outside just weren't falling. They went to the locker room at halftime, talked about it, and looked at what Illinois tried to do to keep their momentum going into the second half, and found ways to not only disrupt them more, but also get going more on the offensive end. Better offense doesn't always mean more 80 buckets for Purdue. And in this one, he only had 10 in the second half because he becomes more of a distributor and trusts his teammates to hit shots, and they had his back and knocked him down left and right. Those halftime adjustments completely flipped the momentum on its head, even with the Orange Crush taking full advantage of every great play made by the Illini to let Purdue hear it and really try to knock them off their game. And secondly, take what they give you. In the first half, Illinois gave Purdue Zach Edey, determined to take away everything else. And to their credit, they pretty much did. It worked out for them heading into halftime with a 6-point lead, but Purdue did a good job of taking advantage of the single coverage that Zach Edey got, and he kept him in the game with his 18 first half points. They could have kept pushing the ball to him in the second half and try to really, have him put the team on his back for the whole game, but instead they shifted and let Illinois' defense dictate how they would attack. Illinois focused more on Edey in the second, and look how that ended up for them. 8 threes rained down. It just goes to show that it's always better to take what the defense gives you and trust your guys rather than force it to your star player when the defense is really honing in on them. And for Illinois, it really came down to intensity. Illinois really showed their grit and intensity in this game. They out-rebounded Purdue on the offensive glass 11-10 and almost out-rebounded Purdue on a team level, just barely getting edged out 31-29. That's unusual for Purdue. Obviously, having a guy like Zach Edey is crucial, but in general, Purdue is a very good rebounding team. So for Illinois, they may not have made enough shots down the stretch, but they really came to play in this one, especially with the way they started the game and how they really took it to Purdue in the first half. The one thing that can make up for not knocking down shots is intensity on the defensive end and on the glass. And the Fighting Illini definitely made Purdue's life hell for a lot of the game, even though it didn't result in a lot of positive stats on the box score. Secondly, it's getting Terrence Shannon Jr. on track. Those 2 fouls in the first half really knocked Shannon off his game. He just never really got back on track. He ended up going 3 for 13 and 0 for 4 from 3. And even though he kept out of foul trouble in the second half, he just couldn't really find a shot. If they got him going in this one, I think this is an entirely different game. Trying to defend Shannon on the outside, Damask in the mid and low post, plus the athleticism of Hawkins and the shot making of Guerrier, that's what makes Illinois so dangerous. But you take one of those wheels off, and all of a sudden the cart gets wobbly. And I think you saw that tonight. Damask was asked to carry just a little too much of the load in the second half tonight, and even a 24-4 game from him wasn't enough to put Illinois on top in this one. But Purdue wraps up the regular season with Wisconsin coming to town on Sunday. And Wisconsin is looking for anything at this point. So even with them playing poorly, very poorly lately, I would not be surprised if Purdue gets their best shot, because that's just how it seems to go most of the time when Purdue is facing their opponents. As for Illinois, they wrap up their regular season at Iowa City, taking on the Hawkeyes on Sunday as well. That would be a solid road win for the Fighting Illini heading into the Big Ten tournament. So they're definitely going to look to get that one back on track. But that's all I've got for today. Here on the channel, we are officially diving into the madness with Butler and Purdue recaps, whatever Boom Buster Believable episodes I've got left in me, and conference breakdowns, all leading into Selection Sunday and everything that comes with March Madness. So stay tuned for my favorite time of the year, filled with plenty of college basketball content here on Running the Table. But until then, like and subscribe for more college basketball content. And until next time, I'm out.